What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Best piece? That's a hard question because I've been given so much great advice. I think one thing that struck a chord with me was my. Okay, I'm going to give you two answers. One was my sports psychologist, Jeff Simons, who travelled with us a lot. And he always focused on doing the simple things with excellence. And so what that meant was not only what you did, so the most beautiful basic technique, and coming down to just doing the simple things, doing the basics. But it also helped to filter in all the crap that goes on out here, you know, the mental, the self-talk and everything. And when you're just simplifying everything, it just brings it down. So it gives you something to focus on. So I found that when I was training, I was always focusing on doing the best. Every kick I did was like even the most basic kick in all martial arts, back leg roundhouse kick. I wanted it to be absolutely perfect, you know, and I fell in love with the simplicity of some of the moves, you know, and it's like if you can do them so well, that's all you need, one kick. So, but it also helped to filter out all the other stuff and the other talk. And sometimes when I was competing, I used to just carry a card in my pocket, and that card would just have a list of maybe 3 things. And again, it just would help me focus back when everything was getting, oh my God, look at the way she's done that, or she just knocked out the German girl, oh my God, I've got to fight that, you know, all of that. It was just like, okay, come back to these 3 things. So that was really great advice. But the other thing was when I was sort of midway through my career, I was going out with this guy, John, and I started to get really focused and obsessive, you know, determined, obsessive, and things weren't going so well. So I wasn't fighting the way I wanted to. I hadn't won the tournaments I wanted to. And I started to, you know, think more was better. So I needed to train more. I needed to do this and this and this and this. And I was dieting and, you know, having to eat the right foods. And sometimes I'd say, you know, what do you want for dinner? You know, I'm thinking, are we having steamed broccoli or steamed cauliflower or brown rice? You know, and he'd be like, pizza and beer, let's have pizza and beer. I was like, oh, no, we can't have pizza and beer. And then it was sort of around the holiday season, and I just went, yeah, you know what, pizza and beer. And so we had pizza and beer and we just relaxed. And then like a month later, I won the US Open. And it just changed my whole, it was like I just needed to go, just don't stress too much. Don't try and make it control everything and make everything right. And sometimes you actually need to do the opposite and just relax. And so that actually was a huge turnaround at that point, because from there everything just flowed on again. And I was still doing all the training and all the other things, but yeah, it was a really influential thing, the pizza and beer. Yeah.
It actually touches nicely into my next question, which is around reward and what your concept or understanding of a reward is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you've got the ultimate reward, I guess, in a gold medal, but what do you see as being a way of rewarding yourself?
Well, I think now, like, I kind of think of myself as in 3 different parts. Yeah. So I was pre-athlete, where I was the person I was then, and then I had this kind of strange time where it's like 10 years of suddenly being an athlete, and then now I'm more back to that same person that I was. Yeah. And so it's like this snapshot in time. And actually I had a friend over the other night, and she's a childhood friend from school. And I said something about what I was doing now and another concept I was coming up with. And she said, yeah, what happened to that Taekwondo thing? Like, why did you do that? You know, it was such a random... She goes, that was so random for you to do Taekwondo. And it was like this time. So I guess what I think of a reward now, or back in that pre-athlete times, is very different than what I'd think is a reward when I was training. So when I was training, it was about taking some time out with friends, or... food-wise, it was, you know, I never said I couldn't have chocolate, because I was sort of not really meeting all of my requirements, calorie requirements, and I would get sugar cravings, which now I wouldn't really eat chocolate, but oh my God, I really wanted it. So I used to say to myself, well, you can just have it occasionally. So I didn't cut it out completely. So having a Tim Tam Slam or having a bit of chocolate was the ultimate reward then. And it's just that thing of, it's just small things, whatever it, you know, met at that time. Or, you know, just relaxing and having a spa and sitting, you know, because my muscles would just be aching after sessions. And so something like that would be a reward. But whereas now a reward is, you know, just hanging out and playing with the kids, and I don't have to, you know, not doing everything, and it's not, you know, I'm not trying to make meals and get everyone changing nappies and whatever. It's just being out somewhere doing something with the kids, and we're just in the moment. I think sometimes those life moments that aren't tangible are just so wonderful. Like the other day we were at the gallery, I took my son and my little girl in, and he hadn't been there for ages, and he was just laying looking at the LED light in the Great Hall at the National Gallery, and it was just so beautiful watching that one and him just rolling around on the ground, and you know, that was just a beautiful moment. And I think things like that now are reward, where you just, kids are so great at being, yeah, just in the moment and being in the flow.
In 1997, you talk about this inner voice in your book that you had, which at one distinct moment completely changed, and it became a voice that you hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
Can you explain that in a bit more detail?
I had some really crazy, wonderful things happen just before the games, where it was like, I don't know, it was, it's hard to explain without it sounding too esoteric, but it was very powerful leading into that games time for me, because I felt like if I did every single thing that I could, if I gave my whole being to, you know, put in every single ounce of my soul into this fight, or these fights on the day, that I'd win. And so it was about accessing that and, you know, doing my best. And, you know, that's the thing about, you know, competitive sport, is trying to do your best on that particular day, in that moment. And yeah, it was just this sense that, and things started to sort of come together, and I'd always had, obviously, you know, we've all got, you know, different voices going on, or that self-talk going on in your head. And things like, as you know, when I was competing, I would have, you know, positive affirmations and things I would say to myself and to reinforce. But just coming into the games, it was like there was this other sort of voice that came in that was a lot stronger and just sort of clearer, and I just felt like there was a bit of destiny there, but it was like I had to take that, you know, I had to go out there and do exactly, you know, bring everything together in that moment. So, and even when I won, it was, you know, people say, oh, you didn't really celebrate, but it just felt like I'd completed. It wasn't until later that when I realised what had happened, that I could sort of celebrate, but it was all about the process as well, so all about score points. Yeah. If you score points, you know, the end is inevitable. Yeah.
One thing that would be useful for other people to know is around how you harness and manage your nerves. Or first of all, perhaps how they manifest in you, how you actually notice that you're nervous. And then secondly, how you actually use that for your benefit rather than to not be good for you.
Harnessing my nerves and getting a handle on all that, it took some time and some experimenting. So I remember when one of the early fights, I'd rev myself up so much, and I was just like, you know, it was like the horse out of the gate. So I got in the ring and I was just like, rah, rah, and I was so hyped up that, you know, it just went haywire, and it was horrible. And so the next one I went to, you know, I was all like, I think it was, you know, listening to some relaxation, you know, Enya or something, and I was all like zonked out, and I sort of went in there and I was just way too, you know, low. Yeah. So it was getting that level of arousal, and also in a you know, competitive environment where you're wanting to win, and so there's that level of adrenaline, and that, you know, you're trying to outsmart your opponent and score the points and set up the strategy of the game and control the ring, and also to react in the moment to all the other things that are going on, and to be changeable, and to watch the score and understand the deductions that are going on and where the referee's standing and all the other things. And, you know, so you just need to, you know, to bring all of those things together. So you need this sort of level of intensity, but then you need to be relaxed to be able to, or, you know, to be loose, to be able to react as quick as you can. So I found that took a little while to get that balance. So, and a lot of that came with the confidence of understanding myself and priming myself, and also saying, you know, some things that I'd reinforce is, you know, you can't preempt it until you get in the ring. So everything happens in that ring. So, you know, it doesn't matter if at warm-up I'm doing the best kicks I've ever done, and I'm fast and I'm loose, and it's just, you know, these power kicks, and it doesn't really matter. So nothing really perturbed me in the end. Like if I woke up and I was having a shitty day or I was sick or, it was like, well, it doesn't matter. Or only what matters is when I step in the ring. And I took a lot of heart when I'd watch other events or, Olympics and, you hear people, every athlete has some story or, not many people say, well, I was 100% and it all went perfectly and I didn't have any injuries coming up to it and I never got a cold and it was just fantastic. So, I used to think that, people are, they go into these events and win medals and they're 80% or 70% or they've had some surgery beforehand and, it's about bringing it together. And I felt fortuitous being in a sport that was about strategy. So it wasn't about, it was about putting it together. So I remember once just before a selection tournament and I just had both knees operated on at one time and I had written off this selection. It was selection for Worlds and Worlds every 2 years and so I was pretty upset about missing that. And so I got in the gym and I did a whole lot of base strength stuff and I actually built myself up to be a lot stronger than I was beforehand. But just before the tournament, I went back to the club and I started moving around on the mat. And it was probably 2 weeks before. And I thought, I can do a kick. I can do one kick on one leg. And again, most basic kick, back leg roundhouse kick. And I thought, if I can just do this one kick, I reckon I can fight. So I managed to windle a few things. My coach got me through. I got a late entry into the tournament. And that's all I did. I had 3 fights or whatever, and I just did one kick. And it came back again, like if I do this one kick and I do it so well, it's going to be unbeatable. And even if they know that's all I'm doing, I can still win with that one kick. And so, things like that I think help harness the nerves when you can go, okay, I'm just going to do my strengths. I'm going to play to my strengths. And that confidence of going, as soon as they move, I will react in the right way. And that trust. And that's probably a hard thing to build up, I think, to actually have that trust. But they were things the mental preparation I worked on a lot. So when I did my visualisation, it wasn't always about standing on the dais and getting the medal and, that's easy to visualise. There's, heaps of people that go, oh yeah, that's great. But it was actually going, okay, so what happens when things are bad in the ring, like when I'm down or, okay, I have all the skills to be able to react and turn that around and visualising how that felt and how my feet felt in the mats and how I would change when I needed to and dominate the scoreboard as so those sorts of things really helped to give me the confidence when I started to get nervous.
And when you talk about this concept of winning,
yeah,
what does winning mean to you?
Well, I guess simplistically, it just means winning the whole tournament. So, and then from that, winning every fight along the way. So when I speak about winning, that's what I mean. Yep. And that's, when I retired, I knew that I couldn't go another 4 years to another Olympics. Like my body just wouldn't hold up with injuries. So I would want to go and win that tournament. I wouldn't want to just go along and be a part of the games. It wasn't where I was at. So yeah, that's what.
So external outcomes.
Yeah, external outcomes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about what you were aiming for, was it always to win?
It was always to win, but it started off smaller. So I wanted to win the Victorian Championships and I wanted to win the Nationals. And I didn't really have that vision of, well, certainly not the Olympics because we weren't an Olympic sport. So then I wanted to win selection on the team to go to the World Championships. And then I wanted to win a medal at the World Championships. But it wasn't gold really in my head. To get a bronze medal would be amazing. And then as I started to beat people on the, and because the thing is that the circuit's just so small. You're competing against the same people all the time at here or there. And so, you might win against someone and then you see them win something and you go, hey, I beat them. I can beat them. I could win that tournament. And so, but can you win it on the day against all the other people that you've got to compete against? So, yeah, that winning, I guess, it sort of came in smaller packages. And then it was like, as I saw the bigger, I thought, I could win that. So it became the big events.